Welcome, everybody, to another Asea 5. This is the day after Thanksgiving in the United States, and obviously many people around the world also view that holiday with some special reverence and feeling, but we're so grateful tonight, and that will be the theme of our discussion this evening on Asea 5 is discussing our gratitude and our thanks for some of the benefits that we've had from improved health. Again, we welcome you. We've got a special lineup tonight. As Maureen would say, who is not with us, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, and we are here. So we're glad to have you with us tonight. We're going to have some testimonials tonight. This is our annual Thanksgiving Give Gratitude evening for the blessings that we feel that we have enjoyed with Asea in our health. And we're going to start off with let's go with Christian. We've got a number of people from around the United States. And Christian, let's start with you and have you tell your story. I should say that we've excused Maureen. She's with her family, but we do have Jim and Ann Glenn wave for us so that we know which ones are you. They're with us in San Antonio, Texas. And with that, we'll begin. Let's start with Christian. If you could tell your story and give you a chance here to express kind of what this all means for you.
Hello there. Happy Thanksgiving break. Well, I am right now in Ecatepec, Estado de Mexico, and I heard about Asea with a beekeeper friend from Venezuela that is currently living in Colombia. And well, it all started because my husband had a condition in his back, and a very painful one. So my friend told me about Asea, and I was like, okay, sounds good. If it can regenerate some things, right? If it can help to the cells to communicate, to be able to communicate better, and for that matter, to have a very good recovery. So I started to try with the husband, but well, my husband's kind of a non-believer, a chronic non-believer. So he didn't want it to take the molecule. So well, I ended up to drinking it by myself and applying my Renew 28. And I've been noticing changes, right? So I had an abnormal growth here at my neck, and it was a fluid sac that on September 15, Independence Day here in Mexico, just burst, so it was painful and annoying and really, really scary. So, but the process of they removed the sac surgically, but the recovery has been fantastic. I don't know if you are able to see this. Like, oh, okay, I'm trying to. The process has been interesting and fast. So I'm happy. I'm so happy, and I am currently working to build a business. I'm not there yet, but I am working right now. So that's it.
That's wonderful.
Awesome.
Appreciate you sharing.
So let's go to Paul Lozic real quick. Paul, we know you well. A lot of others do not. Kind of share your story and how you heard about Asea and what you've been doing with it.
Okay, well, my wife Delia and I served 10 years in Venezuela on the mission field, and in 2021 we're not able to get back in. And back in the United States, we'd accumulated quite a few bumps and bruises and things that happen with age. And Delia was having some issues with some very serious head pains and some other things, basically memory and things like this that were a little bit worrisome. And I was really struggling with some back issues. And we had a friend here in Corpus Christi that began to call us and tell us about these people from San Antonio called Jim and Ann. And we eventually met with them here at our home and listened to Jim's story and kind of researched and looked into this a bit and found out that it was something that that a lot of people were looking at around the world. So we decided to go ahead and try the technology, and we found within 2-3 weeks that we were beginning to receive benefits. We were beginning to see improvements. Now it's been about 17 months, and we now see, looking back, many changes that have happened to our bodies physically, with the back pains, with the memory, with different things that were going on. The headaches have virtually disappeared. They were quite severe. And then a lot of other very subtle things that have happened with energy and alertness and mental clarity and other things that are very important in life. And interestingly enough, we began to meet people that had issues, and we began to share with them because we think that's the right thing to do when you have a solution. And through this, we met the friend. Well, we've known him for some years that Christian mentioned. He's now living in Colombia. And because they have a common hobby, which is beekeeping, this friend met Christian online. And then through him, we've met people in Florida and Kentucky and now in other places around the world. And we see how people are sharing with people. And we're starting to see some really extraordinary solutions in people's lives that are very gratifying and a lot of fun. I don't know, Jim, I was looking at these pictures. Some of them are a little bit graphic. I don't know if I should share these or not. What do you think?
Hey, what do
Go
you
ahead.
think?
Well, it's a
Ah,
private,
look at Christian.
it's a private
Yeah,
tape.
Dr. Karen.
Okay.
It's not public.
This will
so-
just be, now, this is going to be an interesting story. Can you still hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we got you.
So we met Phyllis Lane, who you'll hear from shortly, and she introduced us to a friend of hers she's known for 18 years, and she's the grandmother. This is just one side story that we've experienced. She's the grandmother of this young man that you're going to see here, who had a bug bite. Excuse me while I go through these. And this young man, within a few days, was comatose in the hospital, 12 years old. And the doctors told the parents down in Mexico that he would die. And they were able to get some of the Renew 28 gel down to this young man in the hospital. And the medical personnel would not allow anybody to get in and give him any kind of assistance, much less anything that they would think would be a medication. But they were applying the Renew to him, on his body in secret. Well, after 17 days in a coma, this young man woke up. His body was literally being eaten alive by this whatever the bug bite caused. And he was not responding. It was pretty horrible. And all of a sudden, this kid woke up, and now he's not only not in the hospital, but he's doing fine. And this is one of many stories that we have, that we've seen. Pretty amazing stuff that's happened in our lives. And we're pretty excited because this is a solution that a lot of people deserve to hear about.
Did you have any of the pictures, or we're not going to show them? Because they didn't show.
I guess if I tried to show them, I probably did not do it right. Let's see if I can do that the right way. One moment, please.
Yeah, do share screen down at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm afraid I already blew it, Jim. So probably I don't
Okay.
need to do that.
Yeah, you probably didn't want to see him anyway, but it was extremely graphic. And we've seen videos of the young man, right,
Yeah,
Paul, that
yeah.
he had what, a 5% chance of living, and he's now able to use crutches to walk, right?
Yeah, it's
That's
amazing to
correct.
see him walking with it. Mhm.
And so, Phyllis, can you unmute? Is your microphone working now?
I had a quick question. So Christian and Paul, how much do y'all take of Asea? How much liquid molecules do you drink every day? Christian?
Well-
Could she unmute?
Yeah, unmute. There you go.
Sorry, it's just that he wasn't thinking by its own. So, I really don't know, but I am kind of drinking almost a glass of water, like 250 milliliters.
Okay.
So
Great.
at the morning and at the night. But well, as I told you, I was experiencing some changes, and most of them are very good. Some of them are not that nice, like when your body is starting to react to the molecules. It's not always that nice. It's not always a beautiful thing or process to live, but I'm trying to keep up on that rhythm,
Great.
Paul, how much are you drinking a day? How
Well-
much did you start off drinking in the beginning, and what are you doing now?
Yeah, we were doing the 4 ounces a day, both of us, and using the Renew 28. But at our age, I mean, I'm 68, we began to use more. And I'm using 8 ounces a day minimum, and Delia's using 8 ounces a day minimum. Sometimes we up it when we just got back from some serious hiking and camping outside. It was quite cold, and we were doing a lot of exercise, and so we drink more when we're doing that.
Cool. Hey,
Awesome.
Lee, can you go ahead and throw in the disclaimer, and then also explain why, like what Christine said, a Christian said that it sometimes didn't make her feel well. Phyllis, we'll come to you here in a second.
Detox.
But can you kind of explain why this would do that? And then again, what are we talking about? If you don't mind, Lee, just kind of go over what, because a lot of people don't know what we're even talking about, right?
It's just notifications.
Yeah, this would be a strange conversation for people just tuning in and not understanding what it is that we're talking about. What we're dealing with is a supplement, and therein is the disclaimer. Because it's a supplement, we're not making medical claims. We're not discussing specific medical diseases by their entity. And we're not diagnosing, or we're not using this substance, this supplement, to treat or diagnose anything. We just want to be really clear about that. What Asea Redox is addressing the cellular needs of how the cell machinery functions in terms of responding to the problems in our environment, whether it's toxicity or just nutrition, healing, repair, DNA repair, and so on and so forth, with the cell and the cellular renewal processes. And so when you hear these stories, the reason why they're significant is because this is about turning on the cell's native ability to repair itself. I call it awakening the inner doctor. We all have an innate ability to respond and to heal ourselves based on our own immune system and our own native abilities. And you'll hear the word molecules talked about a lot. These are redox signaling molecules. And redox is just a fancy word that talks about reduction, oxidation, and the movement of electrons, if you will. And that's all really subcellular redox biology, but that's the essence of what this is. And that's what we've discovered, is the ability to turn on and turn off gene expression based on using redox signaling molecules, which is like restoring balance or homeostasis to the cell, much like a thermostat in a room can balance the conditions of the room, whether it's too hot or too cold. You can put it at a set point, and regardless of which way it goes, it will always create that balance or homeostasis. And that's what we're talking about here. And we're listening to the stories of real people who have real results as they begin to reset or restore their cell's native ability to be able to respond to the stresses and the adaptations that go on in the world at which they live in. Again, it's not a drug, it's not a medication. We're just simply upregulating the cell's native ability to respond as it's supposed to, as we used to when we were young. So with that, with that disclaimer and with that brief explanation, we'll continue. Jim, where do we go next?
Yeah, let's go to Phyllis. I know her mic is now working.
Awesome.
So
Hi, Phyllis.
I was thinking we've had you on before, but remember there's a lot of people out here and that will listen to the recording that have never heard your story. So if you don't mind, kind of go back to the beginning and share everything and then give us some of the updates as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, the beginning is we were locked down. I wasn't going to the grocery store. They were delivering my groceries. And my brother, when he came over, I wouldn't let him come in the house because he was running around the countryside and not doing what I thought he ought to be doing. So he came over one day and brought the blue bottle and plopped it on the table and said, "You need to drink this." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because it'll make you better." I said, "Better? What's wrong with me now? I think I'm doing pretty good." Well, you know, he kept coming back. "Are you drinking the stuff? Are you drinking the stuff?" No, no, no. Finally, I realized I've just got to drink it to shut him up. So I did. Didn't really notice anything, didn't know what I was looking for until about 6 weeks later. I spent the whole weekend working in my backyard hauling leaves. And Monday morning, I went to my pill organizer and I hadn't taken my medication all weekend for my lower back discomfort. Now, this had never happened before in the sense that if I missed a dosage, I knew it by 2 or 3 in the afternoon because I was in a world of hurt. I had missed 2 days and I wasn't hurting. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, this stuff is really working. Well, my husband, who's 92 now, he says, "Well, I ain't gonna drink that shit." And I said, "You don't have to drink it. I'm doing it for me." So I was listening to the Asea 5 one Friday night, and Dr. Carmen Keith was introduced and was going to tell the story of her dad. So I said, "Honey, would you like to listen?" And it had to be providential because he turned off the TV. You know, it's 8 o'clock, right? Friday night, he turned off the TV to listen. When he heard her story, he said, "All right, I'll drink it, but it's not going to help me because I've had this problem for 15 years from a car accident and it's not going to help me." Well, he was on high dosage of analgesics from his physician for the condition. And I said, "Honey, we don't know what it's going to do. Your body's in charge of what it does. Let's just wait and see." So this was December 2nd. I marked it on the calendar. We got to February 12th, and anybody who knows about the weather in Texas that year, we had a horrible storm. We had no water and no electricity for 7 days. We were freezing in our house. It was 44 degrees. And he didn't want to take his pills. This went on for 3 days. The third day I said, "Babe, how's your back?" And he looked at me like I was nuts. He says, "What do you mean, how's my back?" And I said, "You've not had any of your medications for 3 days. How does your back feel?" And he said, "My back feels fine." Well, we were just over the moon. This was fabulous. So when his daughter-in-law in New York State was diagnosed with the diagnosis you never want to have in 6 organs, this was the 3rd time she had been suffered from this. She had an eye removed when she was in her 30s. In her 40s, she had female issues and had all of those organs removed. And now it was in 6 organs. So to her, this was a death sentence. She said, "I just want to see my twin great grandbabies before I die." And we said, "Okay, Valerie, if we mail it to you, will you drink it?" She said, "I'll do anything." So we shipped it to her. That was the 1st of February. In June, she flew to South Carolina to see those babies for the first time. And November the 11th, just what's that, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, she flew down to see those babies for their 2nd birthday. So we've just been overjoyed that she is doing so well. So back to my husband. Like I said, he's 92. He was having problems with dizziness. And I'm thinking, well, why isn't this stuff helping him with his dizziness? I was rubbing it behind his mastoid bone. So I called Ann and I said, "Ann, this is the situation." And she said, "Phyllis, you got to rub it from here down the vagus nerve to his collarbone." She said, "Because it penetrates into the organ." So he started doing that. 3 days later, the dizziness is gone. He's overjoyed. And I'm thinking, all right, let's just test that gal and see if she knows what she's talking about. So like I said, I'm kind of got the old lady ailments of bladder leakage. So I thought, okay, I'm going to prove her wrong. So I put that Renew 28 in the bathroom. And every time I went to the bathroom, I gave myself a good working over. 5 days later, it is under control. And I was just ecstatic. And I still am, because now I just have to use the Renew 28 every morning and every evening, and it takes care of my problem. Now, they say this is anti-aging, and I don't know if you all want to know what anti-aging means in my world, but suddenly I'm having to shave my legs again. That's something I really didn't want to have, but such as it goes. So, and there's other things I could say, but I want other people to tell their stories. It just keeps going and going and going in our house. Things just keep getting better.
Hey, Phyllis, real quick though, share how you shared this with the lady that Paul then ended up sharing the story about.
Well, Alma is my housekeeper. And when I first started taking Asea 2 years ago, she came over, and in my laundry room, she saw all these blue bottles, and she said, "What is it?" And I told her. She was recovering from a surgical procedure on her liver. So she was very interested in it, and she started drinking it then. So then when she came back, 2-3 months ago, she said, "Do you think that stuff would help my grandson? He's in Chihuahua, Mexico." And she explained what was going on. I said, "Absolutely." Her sister was visiting. So I sent 4 tubes of Renew 28 with her on the bus to Mexico. And that's how they got it into him. And Paul did such a wonderful job telling that story. But what I remember is she said when he came out of that 17-day coma, the first thing he said was, "I want a hamburger." So we're just overjoyed that Cesar is doing so well, and his family is sharing that story with others and helping others get well too. So thanks, Jim.
It's awesome.
That's fabulous.
Thank you.
I wanted to say, because we know Phyllis and her family well now, the last couple of years, they just have a heart to share Asea with everyone in Kerrville, and we're just so proud of them, how they don't even hesitate at all to share it with whoever. And Phyllis is kind of a celebrity because she does a 2-minute, 3-minute, 4-minute, however long it takes, a radio show every Wednesday in Kerrville, sharing with the community to come out and listen to an event we do every Wednesday. And same with Paul and Delia. They have a heart of gold in Corpus Christi. We've gotten to know them the last couple of years and are just thankful. And Paul does an excellent job of hosting a live event every Tuesday in Corpus. So we appreciate y'all.
Yeah, real quick, Phyllis, how much are you drinking in the beginning? How much are you drinking now?
Well, I guess I was drinking 2 and 2 in the beginning. Now I drink 6, and when I'm stressed out, I drink 8.
I know Robert drinks more, right?
Robert's drinking 12 to 16, yes.
Right.
He's 92 and off all medications. He's on no drugs at all. So we're just so thrilled with how he's doing. Thank you.
That's awesome.
That's rather unusual, I would think.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead and have Scott, because Scott, you had a similar issue of what we're discussing with that bad bug bite. And Scott,
Yes.
You've been around quite a while with the company. Share your story. A lot of folks, I love your story. You do so much in helping other people that have battled that issue. And there's a lot of people. And I actually think Teresa, I'm not sure if she deals with that issue or not. Yay or nay, Teresa? Sort of. Okay.
Right.
So Scott, go ahead and share your journey. What's this been like for you?
Well, it's been pretty amazing. I mean, I'm most thankful for the fact that, I have a life that I didn't think I was going to have, basically. And I want to thank everybody for coming on here and telling your stories. They're all wonderful stories. And Phyllis, you're going to be hard to follow. You are very entertaining. So
She counted six.
She is.
Scott, I counted 6 things that happened to her. So you got to top that.
which is amazing. Well, I think I can.
Okay, I'm going to keep track.
So look, my story starts a long time ago. I've been on Asea now for 10 years.
That's amazing.
And it's done so many great things for me. Yeah, back when I was first diagnosed with my illness from a bug bite, I declined pretty quickly. This particular illness attacks your mitochondria. And as we all know, it's the mitochondria that produces redox signaling molecules. And if you can't produce those, you're gonna decelerate in your life pretty quickly. And I was. A lot of mine started with brain fog, went on to muscle twitches, ringing in the ears, loss of balance, total confusion. I couldn't have conversations with people, irritability, headaches, loss of my peripheral vision, sleeplessness, terrible fatigue. I had the dropsies. I just couldn't hold on to things. Severe joint pain. I could barely get out of bed in the morning. I would have to go stand in a hot shower for 20 minutes just to try to get my body moving again.
Now, Scott, when did all that start with you? How long ago was that?
Wow. Almost 18 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I've been with it on Asea now for 10 years. So when I first started getting sick, I went misdiagnosed for a couple of years. And when I finally got diagnosed properly, I went to see a specialist. He put me on a regimen of antibiotics. And I was on antibiotics for 2.5 years. I did the oral and the IV treatments. And when I finished the IV treatments, 2 weeks later, I crashed again. And nothing was helping me. And some of you doctors on here know that if you're taking antibiotics for that long, that's not good for you. It destroys your gut health. So I was catching every cold, flu, you name it. I looked awful. No offense to anybody who's 80 plus, but I looked like I was 80. And back then I was 40 something. So, but I figured that this is my life. I have to deal with it as best I can. So I got off all the antibiotics. I started holistic approaches, and it was actually my pharmacist that was helping with holistic approaches, Donna Pagliaro, who I am forever grateful for that she shared this with me, and she actually had it shared to her by Terry and Foster Melamed, who I love. I totally respect them. If it wasn't for them bringing this product to Donna, I never would have seen it, and who knows where I'd be at this point. So when she introduced it to me, I looked at it, I read the label like everybody else, and I said, it's salt water. I swim in it. It doesn't help. I don't see how drinking it's going to help me. So she said, just come on, take a look at my website. I said, it's network marketing. I want nothing to do with it. Fortunately for me, a woman walked in the store and she says, Don, I'm here for my Asea. I said, all right, what's your story? She had been suffering from a condition where she had terrible joint pain. And she'd been drinking this for 3 months and she never felt better. I said, all right, I'll try it. I bring it home. I start drinking it. 2 weeks in, I feel like a bowling ball gets lifted off my brain. That alone, I would have taken as a victory just to have that brain fog lifted. But at that point, I'm like, okay, there's something going on here. So I continued to go. And when I first started, I started at 2 ounces twice a day. But when that brain fog lifted, I said, I wonder what would happen if I drank just a little bit more. So I started drinking 6 ounces a day. Then I bumped it to 8 ounces a day, and things just started to improve. And it was 3 months in when I really noticed the joint pain start to recede. Now, I don't know if any of you really know my story, but that led me to really getting my life back. And I started getting back into the gym. I was a big gym rat. I played all types of sports through high school and college. And I was able to compete in Spartan races. And that was the real victory of my journey back from this illness and disease. And at this point, Phyllis mentioned the anti-aging, and that's one thing people kind of neglect. I just turned 60 back, 6 months ago, and I don't know what that's supposed to feel like because I feel so good and I'm still out doing the things that I love to do, playing golf, playing hockey, and just getting out there and enjoying life. And if it wasn't for this product, I seriously don't know where I would be. And I got one more real quick story. The most thankful thing about Asea and the fact that all you people have taken it from the beginning when this company started, the people that came out that took the chance, had the courage to get involved with this saltwater-based company. if it wasn't for this company saving my life, well, it also saved my sister's life. She was diagnosed with the worst type of breast illness you could possibly get. And the doctors were like, we're going to do what we can, but there's no guarantees. Well, she is absolutely free of that condition. And it took her 6 months getting on Asea, rubbing the gel all over her breasts, and she is doing phenomenally well. And her oldest daughter is going to have a baby, so she's going to get to be a grandmother. She's going to get to experience
Yay.
that. So
Scott, how
that
much
is
was she
what I'm
drinking?
extremely thankful for.
Very much.
Scott, how much was she drinking?
Yeah. She was drinking 8 ounces a day, 4 and 4, and she was just putting the Renew. I was sending her tubes of Renew, and she was slathering that all over her breast. And the things that she went through, no scarring. She never suffered any of the side effects from the other really bad thing that they do to you when you have that particular condition. And she was just flying high and feeling great. And her doctors are shocked that when they finally did their last test 6 months through, they're like, this is gone. How did you do this? So it's just, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a God thing.
I think
Yeah,
I read
it
her
really-
story in Healthy Self. Is that story in Healthy Self as well on Facebook?
Yeah, I think I put that in there with a
Thought
picture of myself and her. Yeah.
That's so wonderful. And I
Bald
recently
at the
talked to,
time. Her picture, she was bald
Yeah.
at the time. And her
oh,
hair has come back thicker, fuller, and a different color. Actually, it's dark. Which is crazy. Yeah.
she's not naturally dark.
No, she was dirty blonde.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is really
That's
crazy.
amazing.
I
Wow.
have
You
dark
know-
hair, and my brother had dark hair, but she had like a dirty blonde hair. And now it's come back darker.
I was
Well-
recently talking. Oh, Phyllis, you want to ask a question?
No, I just want to say the crazy thing is Robert, his white hair
yeah.
is turning dark.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He
Well,
mentioned
people
that
keep asking
yesterday.
me, where's
yeah.
my gray hair at 60? Because my brother's
Right.
practically white. My cousins all have gray hair. I got like little specks of gray. Everybody keeps thinking I dye my hair. I'm like, I kind of run Renew through it every once in a while too.
I did notice with Paul that, Paul, the last time I saw you, I think you had a little bit more on top up there, buddy. But what's weird about Robert, Phyllis's husband, is that it's not coming black from the root at the base, it's the whole hair. And it's
Wow.
really peculiar.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really kind of crazy.
Yeah, we saw him yesterday. He looked great.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, Scott, I've recently talked to, I don't know her well enough, a nutritionist that she mentioned you, and she has a wonderful story. I shared it on her business page. If I'm pronouncing her name right, Pallas, Pallas, Dom, Dame.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
mentioned you. She has a wonderful story too, and her condition was like yours with that
Yeah.
bad bug. And she shares it just,
What's
I think, worldwide, but that's pretty amazing. And then what I was going to say, a guy in Kerrville, and I don't know if you experienced this, Scott, but he had the same condition, and he said he invested in 250 different supplements prior to Asea, none of which were working. He's a yoga instructor, Phyllis,
Yeah.
you know, Rick. And until Asea, he was not able to conquer that. And
Yeah.
he shares it all the
yeah, it was
time
in his
now.
hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it
I was
affecting
spending
greatly.
$800 a month on different types of supplements, natural supplements, trying to get my health back. And it was,
Scott, it's amazing that when you have your health, it's like you take it for granted, but when you lose it, you'll
Yeah.
spend anything and everything on it to regain it back. I just wish we could get that through to people.
It's cheaper
Absolutely.
to be on this, isn't it, Scott, than be
so
sick?
much cheaper.
Yes.
So much cheaper, and
No- no
now
side
that,
effects.
having so many other family members on it, it gets to be a little expensive, but the beauty is that I get to share it with people. They get to have an experience and they get to share it with somebody, and we all get to benefit financially from it. It's a brilliant concept. And that's just something that people really don't understand.
Did
it's
you have
people
an issue
helping
with-
people.
Did you have an issue with networking in the beginning?
I did.
You did? How,
I
how
didn't want
what,
anything to do
if you
with it.
don't- like, did you have a bad experience or just?
Yeah, I was always just turned off. People would drag me to these meetings and they would really just try to sell you. And I was just like, okay, stop already. And I just never had a taste for it. But when I started to
No
see the
pun
results in
intended.
myself, and then I shared it with a couple of people saying, I'll try this stuff. And then they tried and they started feeling better. And I was like, oh my God, this company's done it right. They put it in the hands of the people that need it, can have an experience, share it with others. Instead of going to some big box store and giving them all your money, or to the pharmaceutical companies, God forbid, you're helping a friend with a small business, and you're helping them grow a business. A lot of my associates, they like to just earn enough to pay for the product. That's wonderful,
Yeah.
But if you can,
Yeah.
go beyond that and have a little extra savings get a little income out of it for retirement, that's a bonus. That's huge.
Well, and like I always say, who needs to hear about it? Well, it's everybody. Well, how are they going to hear about it?
Everybody.
But, and if they did have it at the big box store, or they had it from pharmaceutical, they would make all the money.
They would make all the
Well,
money.
our company goes straight from the manufacturer straight to the consumer,
Yep.
and they send the thank you checks to us.
Absolutely.
Well, I personally don't have a problem with that.
No,
and if
I
you
don't
share-
now. I did
Yeah,
at first,
right.
but now it makes total sense. And it would be so much more expensive too if it was going through a pharmaceutical company
Yeah.
or in a big
Oh,
box
yeah.
store.
Yeah.
They charge
Hey,
So
so
you
much
share it
more.
enough, share it enough, you get enough money, like you said, to pay for it.
Yeah.
And you get loyalty rewards just staying on
Yeah.
it. So that can pay for your
Yeah.
product every month.
The
You're
rewards
gonna
are
mention
great.
Yeah, well, I just want to throw it out there, Lee, real quick, because I know some people, Teresa, will come to you next. But some people go to Google, Lee, and they read that it's a scam, that it's just, Scott, I'm sure you saw it, Christian, Phyllis, Paul. I mean, I know I did. But Lee, can you just kind of go over that? I mean, it is made from saline, from saltwater. Can you kind of just cover that real quick? Because that was a head scratcher for me in the beginning. If I had not seen the result in my best friend's son, who also had a life-threatening health issue and got his life back. But a lot of people just go to Google and go, oh my gosh, it's a scam. You're scamming me. Can you kind of cover that real quick?
Well, Dr. Google doesn't always serve everybody well with accurate information. That's true. It's a public forum and it's a public place, and everybody has a different agenda, which is why you need to go check your sources. This is a fair statement for everybody. There's a lot of companies out there that have good products. And in fairness, they should be evaluated on their merits and not what other people just say. But that's why this forum that we're on tonight and the basis for the industry that we're in with this company is of value, because you get to hear real stories from real people. We talk about does it work or not? And in some regard, that's what some of these stories that you'll see in Google posts talk about, is they tried it and it didn't work. But we don't hear the rest of the story, that they didn't understand some of the deeper and more salient points with regards to them. Everybody has a different background. Everybody has a different genetic makeup. Everybody has a different health history. Everybody's a different age. And so if we're to be fair, we could write a 50 or 100 or a 250 page book, Ask Me How I Know, in trying to deal with all of these nuances as to why all of the minutia matters. And without boring everybody to tears, everybody has a different set point. We respond differently, just like we respond differently to nutrition or supplements in general. What works, what quote unquote works for one person may not work for another person. And again, that word is a trigger word, because we have a cultural mindset, a cultural dogma that really is a drug mindset. Larry knows about this very well. We give a drug and it's looking for receptor sites in molecules and on cells that will have an effect. It's a lock and key. And that's not what redox signaling molecules are about. I might need more or I might need less, depending on my age, my athletic activity, my background, my history, the disease I'm dealing with at the time. And so when I take something like this and it quote unquote doesn't work, it's easy to castigate it and speak ill of it, because I didn't understand that I might need double or triple or quadruple for a while until my cells start working. Again, as Dr. Carnes knows, we don't usually, as health professionals, see a problem, a sign or a symptom, often for sometimes years after the cells quit working that produce that problem. And so for it to get better in 30 minutes, after like taking a pill, or over a weekend or a week, when we think it should, and it doesn't, then we speak ill of it. And so that, again, that's why we have these forums where we can explain these things, that people understand there's a paradigm shift, there's a paradigm difference from the drug model to the cellular health model. And what Asea is a cellular health company. They are not a network marketing company. They're a cellular health company. And they choose network marketing as the distribution model or vehicle of people telling stories, word of mouth information to support the sales of this product. And I think that's a paradigm shift, because we're not just one of those deals out there trying to make money for people. We're out supporting people's cellular health. And the fact that it does work is testament to the fact that this continues to grow and grow and grow.
And I just want to throw in there, thank you so much, Lee, for that. But I want to throw in there real quick, guys, if you're out there listening, please do not ever buy this product on Amazon. No, don't do it, because we go from the manufacturer straight to the end user, to our customers. If you're buying it from Amazon, we will never sell this product or any of our products through Amazon. If it's through Amazon, it's either hijacked, it's stolen, out of date, and there's a lot of other reasons not to do it. We are a small business minded people. Buy it through us. Please respect the ones that brought it to you. And also, it's the education. It's you want to know what you're taking and how to take it and everything. And then kind of like what Christian said, that you may actually have some times where you don't feel really good. And if you're not explained that, you may end up quitting it. Or if it, oh my gosh, it tastes like pool water, why would anybody drink this stuff? You need to understand that if you're not in homeostasis, it's going to taste like something else. It should always taste just like water. It should always smell and taste like water. If it's like anything else, your body's not in homeostasis, and you need to be drinking more to get your body back into homeostasis. So
Let me introduce Teresa.
yes, go ahead.
So I wanted to invite Teresa because she is a story of hope. And, you know, for Jim and I, we almost lost our home. So when you hear her story, it's very encouraging, and people who send it to a recording of this, it could give someone else hope. I was a single mom for 5.5 years before I met Jim. I know what it's like. And then when you get something like this that can give you an opportunity and give you health benefit, you just need to share it. And she's been sharing, and she has a great background. So go for it, Teresa. We're so glad you're on today. And you'll have to unmute. There you go.
Hola.
Hola.
Thank you. Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. Yeah, I'm, as a massage practitioner, as a massage therapist, for 20 years, and probably half of those years as a birth doula, and building my health and wellness practice, I've come across a lot of things, including the bug bites. I was like, I work with a lot of clients that come with things on their body, and sometimes I pick it up, and, it's hard for me to, diagnose it myself, but Asea Renew 28 is definitely been a heaven sent for not just my, condition, skin health, but for my clients. But so I've always been into holistic approaches to help my clients, to help myself, my children. And whenever I was having some, let me take you back to 2 years ago when this, when everything started with, the virus and everything going around. Before that, my business was thriving. Had a lot of clientele, business was thriving. And then, of course, these hands went on vacation because I couldn't do a whole lot of massage. And so those conditions with, my clients, of course, isolation, everything I know also caused a lot of mental disruption in their, their vitality. But for me, honestly, the condition that I was having with my gut is where it first started. Whenever Tammy Garcia introduced this to me on social media, she thought, you're in health and wellness already. This is something that's native. I was curious, like, what is native? I'm always into natural and holistic. And so when I looked into it and actually used it for my gut discomfort, that's whenever it really intrigued me, because within 48 hours, this really helped that excruciating discomfort that I was having in my gut. And that wasn't the first time I was feeling it. I kind of just dealt with it a few years before that with holistic approaches, again, natural teas and things like that. But because this helped me so quickly, it intrigued me and I wanted to learn more. And the next thing that I tried was the Renew 28, and then the biome. Of course, y'all know the gut is the second brain. And so the biome has definitely been a heaven sent for me. That's another product of the Asea that they provide. But like I said, my business scaled down, and of course that also came with bills, mortgage, couldn't pay, the past 2 years. That all just made an impact on our overall home environment. And so I was on the verge of losing my house, which I bought 17 years ago by myself. And my 3 children were born in that same home. So this is definitely being a heaven sent that I'm able to share this, but also to make an income. And not only was I able to save my home, still in the home today, so I'm definitely in gratitude for that. But now that I'm able to share it with people and bring it to the events that I do, I take my chair and do chair massages here in Texas where I'm at, and people are just amazed with just doing the stability evaluation with this gel. It blows their minds away, and I'm just really grateful and excited that I can bring this to my clients and people that need it. So I don't know what else to share, but it's definitely been a heaven sent, and I'm again blessed to be in my home today.
Awesome. Thank you, Teresa.
I think it makes a difference to people that maybe they're like, how do I start? Where do I start? And you just, right, Teresa, you just share from the heart. You just share the benefits. You don't share too much, right? And you maybe plant a seed with the, real Redox results. And you just, continue to, like you're doing, just be out there, getting to know. I'm sure you had to get to know real quick the cold market. You had a warm market, I'm sure, and then that ran out. And now I think you do booths and you do other stuff. You have a show. And so, just stay consistent and it'll keep growing. We've seen that over the 7 years we've been. So we're excited for you.
Yeah.
So we were going to hear from Larry.
Dr. Larry.
And his
Good evening.
Gentlemen.
How are you?
If I was doing any better, I'd have to be triplets.
Well, share your journey. We were hoping to have a guest on, but he had an emergency come up that he had to take care of. So share your story and then go ahead and share his. We've got a few minutes left.
Yeah, his story is amazing.
Please take it away. And again, tell us a little bit about your history too, Doctor.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my history with Asea started out at a meeting where we were watching people tell us how to do business like this. We were in a different company at the time. I noticed a man being wheeled in a wheelchair, and they moved him up close to the front, and people tried to greet him, but he had a stony face, a major pill rolling tremor of his hands. I went over, introduced myself to the wife later and to him, and he just kind of stared right through me. And 4 months later, we went back for the graduate seminar of the same training. Danny Johnson, for those of you who know Danny Johnson, she has these seminars. Anyway, he came in this second time walking, holding his wife's arm, but walked in, sat in a normal chair, took notes, interacted humorously with people on both sides of him. I had to go back and find out what made the difference, because I had never seen this condition that Michael Fox has come around like this. And he said, well, we can't really talk about it because that goes against the policies of this training, but let's go out to eat tonight. And he and his wife walked with us 8 blocks to the restaurant at a normal pace and told us all about Asea. I didn't take it on that quickly at that time, but we were able to learn more. And within a year or so, it cycled back into our lives. My story is that I'd had a heart attack about 2010, and at first we didn't know it. It was underdiagnosed 3 times. Finally, they said, oh, you've got an area of scar tissue here in your heart that is not contracting, and it's just kind of flopping in the breeze. Now, the next time I was checked after being on Asea for 6 years, they said, we don't understand this, but that area of your heart muscle is contracting normally, and your numbers are beautiful. I was able to wean off of medications for high blood pressure and also for lipid problems, cholesterol issues. So I no longer need those. I've had quite a number of other, I won't come up with a number like Scott, I don't think. And by the way, my hair just stays white. It hasn't changed color, but that would be kind of cool. Anyway, you never know what your body is going to do with those molecules when you start taking them in.
Now, what is your background, Larry?
I'm an obstetrician gynecologist for about 40
Okay.
years, delivered nearly 5,000 babies, hence the triplet joke. Sometimes people say, well, what did you do? I say, well, I was a delivery boy with a local firm.
That's cute.
Anyway, so we've been attending a church with a wonderful adult Bible fellowship class, Sunday school class. And the teacher would sit on the stool for about a minute, and then he would stand for about a minute. And then he'd sit back down, and then he was up. And it wasn't really, it didn't make it difficult for us to concentrate, but you could tell he was in a lot of pain. And he told his story about having grown up in a home where he knew better, but got into drugs and alcohol and extreme sports. He loved stand-up watercraft, jet skis. He loved all kinds of fast-moving vehicles and skiing. And one day in 2006, while under the influence of some of these chemicals in his body, he flew off the side of the mountain and wrapped himself around a pine tree. They thought he was going to die, needed blood transfusions. He was in the ICU for 3 weeks, has 27 screws and a plate in his pelvis. But as time has gone by, he's healed. He's continued to have pain, though. Doesn't slow him down. He plays beach volleyball almost every day, and then picks it up with sleep at night, trying to stop having all the pain. And he told us in the class that he was going to be having some back surgery the next week, and asked the class to pray for him. So I said, this is time to share Asea with him. So I just wrote a little note. I said, before you have that back surgery in a couple of days, go to this website, realredoxresults.com, and check out, especially number 19, this guy named Jim Glenn, who's gone through 10 back surgeries and used to take a few hundred narcotic pills a day just to keep the pain under control. He did, and called me up and said, I've canceled the surgery. I want that stuff now. So we got him going, and within just a few days, he was having pain-free days, something he had not had since 2006 when he had that accident, that last accident. Yeah, discomfort, not pain. See, Leah's smiling on that one. Okay, it's hard to not use words that you're used to using. Anyway, so the days when there is discomfort, it's about 50% of what it used to be. And each day he's gotten better and better. So that's a big miracle for him. He got permission from the pastoral staff at the church to tell that story and say, if you want to hear more about this, here's Dr. Larry Kieran's phone number. So we've had a number of calls this week, and 3 enrollments and 1 that's coming on tomorrow.
That's super.
Well, Larry, when you were first introduced to the Asea, as I ask a lot of medical people, what was your initial response to it being saline?
I thought this is wacky. And I started doing some research and thought, well, what can it hurt? A lot of good stories, even at that time, 2014 when we joined. And I thought, okay, it can't hurt. Let's do it. Let me say, along with what I've mentioned already personally, I no longer have those sick type head pains that my mother and grandmother used to have, and my brother has, and a couple of my daughters have had as well. I just don't need the medication for those head pains anymore, head discomforts anymore.
That's great.
So-
And so you take how much every day? And this
8
gentleman,
ounces, and I take it all at once. I
Okay.
have a harder time remembering to take a
Just split it
divided
up,
dose
yeah.
for some reason. So I've done stabilized at eight ounces
great.
a day.
Just
So-
knock it all out. What about your friend?
He is in the 12 to 16 ounce range, depending on
Great.
how much beach volleyball he plays. He just doesn't want to give it up. So if he goes diving into the sand to get a ball, he may take a little bit more that day.
Yeah. And it
Hey,
makes
Larry,
the
I'd
game
like to
even
follow
better.
up with I'd like to follow up, Larry, with a question there. Speak as a physician, as a healthcare professional. We look to people like you and maybe me of, speaking about, the science and whatnot, but speak about why physicians and health professionals and even small business people should be looking at something like this in the regards of a side gig. What is it protecting?
This has to do with the philosophy of medical training, and we are taught to believe in medications and surgeries and things that we can do of that nature. I never wrote a prescription that didn't have a patient pamphlet that wasn't somewhat long. I chuckle kind of sadly when I see a TV commercial where what you see is butterflies and children playing and grandparents and this and that as the script is being read. There's this side effect, and that one, and it may kill you.
Yeah.
We were taught that to cure something, you need a drug. The problem is so many of them have side effects and problems that set you up for some other drug to have to answer, and then another one. I have a friend who was on 40 different medications, and how he kept his eyes open, I don't know. But so doctors have that mindset. There's a fix for this. There's approved ways of doing it. And don't ask me to try something that doesn't have studies that prove that it's designed for a specific problem. I am just so grateful. You talk about Thanksgiving and grateful. I'm so grateful for the Norton family, and how they turned down a big sum of money from a drug company that wanted to put this on the shelf and keep it out of our hands. In the process, if they had gone through the FDA process successfully, it would have been a single indication for the use of the product. Now we are free to use it for whatever cells in the body are struggling for whatever reason. And people say, well, how can anything work on all these different things that we've heard about here tonight? And I liken it to a house, that on every wall of your house, you have some strange little rectangular pieces of plastic with holes in it. And if you plug a hair blower into one of those, it makes it hot. And if you plug a refrigerator into the same one, it freezes. You can have sound, light, TV, whatever, all because of the electrons coming through there. So we can use this for whatever cells are struggling for whatever reason.
Awesome.
That's a
Okay.
good description.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. Larry, I'm going to ask everybody on here, how did you hear about it? Just real quick. How did you hear about Asea? Was it from a friend? Was it from, go ahead and reiterate again how you heard about it.
Okay, an acquaintance.
Okay. Paul Lozick,
Yeah, we heard from an acquaintance also, Jim.
friend.
Yeah.
Scott Laval,
Yeah, it was from a friend, my pharmacist, who actually is my neighbor.
Awesome.
Lee Osler,
I actually heard about it from my wife's physician who told us to just go get some
Yeah.
and he heard about it from who?
from his next door neighbor across the fence.
Okay. Teresa,
Yeah, it was on social media. Someone introduced it to me, a friend from my
Okay.
hometown.
Awesome.
cool. Christian,
Beekeeper friends. Oh, Luis Bazan.
Awesome. Yes.
and Phyllis. He's got to learn how to unmute.
I thought you were gonna
There she
unmute
goes.
me.
There she goes.
My brother.
Okay. So the point is that almost everybody on here has heard it from a friend.
And we heard it from a best
We
friend.
heard it from a friend. Do not throw out networking, because if you did, you wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be hearing about it.
That's right.
That's right.
And if you understand why it had to go networking, because what we have could never be sold in a store because it's made from what, Dr. Osler?
It's made from electrolyzed salt water.
It's salt water, guys. We have 13 different technologies and we have to share it word of mouth. But the biggest gift, I believe, what I am so thankful for is that when Vertus Norton and Tyler Norton said no to that big check that Dr. Larry mentioned, he gave us a chance to get my financial dignity back. Because at the age of 58, guys, we were bankrupt. We were going to lose everything. And we had no else. We just finished with a beautiful kitchen remodeling that we never would have been able to pay for before.
Nope.
So we have the best of both sides of that coin. The health technology that helps athletes. We did a meeting at Rose Monday's home, and we have top athletes that are using this product. She would never recommend this to one of her athletes if it was going to cause them to test positive for a banned substance. But we go from the healthiest of the healthiest people that need it. We have babies that need it. It doesn't matter your age. I talked to someone today that she is 94 years old. And guess what she wants to do, guys? She wants to share it with everybody she knows because they all need it.
Because they're all sickly friends.
And I go, well, do you mind if the company sends you a check? Well, no, I don't mind that. So we do this show for the validation. Dr. Larry, Paul Lozick, Scott, Christian, Phyllis, Teresa, and obviously Dr. Osler and Ann. And we continue to lift up Maureen. She's having fun. As always, she's out doing whatever. But next week, we've got a great guest. She's someone brand new, never been on the show before. She's been on the product for a year or two.
Yeah.
Her name is Kristen Kahns. She has been on national TV. She is a health expert, a nutrition expert. So we're going to really, really dig into the nutrition and to the cell performance on top of the Asea Redox that we have. So guys, please join us next week.
Yes.
Lee, where will this recording be up here in a little bit?
We'll have this at redoxmatters.com, where all the recordings are hosted. You'll see it in the recent as well as the archive section there, redoxmatters.com.
So guys,
Thanks, guys.
thank you.
We appreciate all
Good night.
you.
Appreciate everybody.
Thank
Scott,
you.
You
again,
guys,
everybody,
thanks so much for having me.
coming. God bless
Appreciate
everybody.
everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
everybody.
All.
Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Holidays.
Thank you.
Yeah.